most of this build you can get away with good enough. Close enough works. This doesn't. We're not at a millimeter anymore. We're at about 1/10 of that. And I'm doing it with a hammer. It takes a lot of tools. Expensive ones. Very specific ones. They don't make the job any easier. Just possible. I think the first thing to do is unfortunately a boatload of sanding. Brought to you by good old radius block. I may try the hand plane to establish a sort of preliminary radius. I've not had the best luck with that. Work holding. It continues to be an issue. I think 3 points of contact ought to be enough. Keep this thing from turning into a banana, at least. So I did, in fact, try the hand plane. I'm not terribly confident I'm not going to tear this to shreds, though. So I'm going to switch to sandpaper before I make a mess I can't fix. This is some really aggressive 80 grit. I jokingly call it rasp paper, it's so aggressive. I should protect that headstock, though. Don't want the paper scratching it. There, that's better. Although I'm really not sure about the hot pink. Sanding. Sanding. More sanding. Oh, better clean up that mess. Yep, more sanding. And paper is good, but steel is better. So I took this up to 100 grit off camera, and I had to do a little bit more with the 80 first. Now, that's not because I was trying to hide anything, but because I had some extra tear out I had to take care of. Because I tried the hand plane. Now's the time to put in some inlays. First radiusing, now inlays. I'm not avoiding the frets, I promise. Why is it that these mechanical pencils are always out of lead when you need them? Good thing I have a pencil sharpener. Old-fashioned pencils never let you down. Except when they break. So I can see two problems here. One, even with the tape, trying to hold on to this little dot is a challenge. And two, so it cracks, huh? Stuff is very brittle. Apparently, synthetic opal does not cut very well. It does file okay, but if I'm honest, it's pretty tough stuff. So let's skip the hand tools and switch over to a power tool. Well, I guess this is sort of a hand tool. It is a Dremel and a vise, after all. I promise, I'm not using the inlays to avoid hammering in the frets. Much. I think this build is got enough going on, I don't need to complicate the inlays. So I'm just going to go with some 12th fret markers. Besides, most people use the side markers, right? Right? But just because I'm only putting 12th fret inlays in, doesn't mean I can't do something fancy. Yeah, more copper tube. Do you ever get halfway into doing something and just don't think enough to make a change? Yeah, in hindsight, there's a vise right there. It would have made this so much easier. But no. And yes, I am hammering something in. No, I'm still avoiding hammering the frets. Definitely failed to learn from my mistakes here. Again, use the vise, Luke. Use the vise. No, that's not actually cumin in there. But now that I think about it, ground cloves might be a good filler for rosewood. Spicy too. And I don't mean spicy like superglue fumes. So I was deliberately cutting the opal back to make room for some glow dust. Was going for a sort of yin and yang sort of thing. I ended up with more like a half of a half moon. And anybody who watched the previous episode knows why I'm not using a file here. And the big reveal. That came out better than I was expecting. Unfortunately, the neck's not flat. Gonna have to go back and sand that out with some improved work holding. Speaking from experience, there's nothing worse than trying to put in frets and realizing your slot is not deep enough. Unfortunately, my calipers don't fit. But I have a little trick up my sleeve to fix that. And for that, I'm going to use this single edge razor. We're just going to put a little mark on it, the right height for the frets. Cut the piece of masking tape to the appropriate height using the actual fret wire. Why measure when you can just cut? And then black out the top of it for visual. Don't mind me, just making tools so I can continue to not put the frets in. Looks like I got enough depth in the middle there, but I can't reach all the way out to my binding. Yep, typical problem. When you do binding, the glue gets into the edge of the slots. Can't use this tool for avoidance though. I already made one. Man, this is a spectacularly tedious process, because you gotta check and cut every single fret. So let's speed this up. And that saw doesn't get all the way into the corner. Unfortunately, the smallest chisel I have, well, it's too big. But this scalpel blade looks a lot like a chisel, and it fits in the slot. So if I just grind off the knife edge here with a Dremel and give it a little touch up on my sharpening stone, I have myself a little micro chisel. And I gave myself more time away from hammering in frets. Yes, the thought of chipping glue out of the corners is also very tedious, as you can see. This could take a while. Alternatively, we could just cut slots through the binding. Don't worry, that was actually cutting a spot for the nut. The binding remains intact. I'm just adding a little tiny V profile here to the top of the frets. A little something I learned a long time ago. It just helps the frets go in a little nicer, and for the next guy that has to remove them, well, hopefully it reduces chip out. And with that done, now we can proceed from radiusing to polishing. For this first pass, I'm just going to toss down some pencil line and sand with some 320 on the block. This will be the last time I need the radius block. Everything from here on out is fine enough. I am not removing any material. And I'm going to give this new sandpaper a try. Instead of the old-fashioned wet or dry, last time I tried using that, it left behind like gray grit in the wood. And I don't know, I want something better. So I'm trying this green tech stuff from Klingspor. And so far, I'm pretty happy with the result. Just gonna step up through the grits here from 400 to about 2000. You can see the shine in that fretboard now. Very nice. Now, the tools for actually fretting this fretboard. This is gonna sting a little bit. There's a few things in here that are optional extras with the asterisks. You can get cheaper versions, but it's really not worth it. I also have this little holder for the fret wire. Now, you'll notice it's a round shape. I like things that are compact so they don't take up a lot of space, but I learned a long time ago a long, skinny block with holes in it. Well, I tipped it a couple times and made a huge mess of the fret wire. So I have this one now. Haven't tipped it yet. Stainless steel fret wire and nipping tangs. This never gets any easier or more fun, but it is a necessary evil. Let's just zip through this, why don't we? All 21? 22? Pretty sure it's 22 frets. Can you tell it's been a little while? And now the part that never feels right. Hammering in the frets. Wait, hold on a second. That's not the same hammer. Yeah, I decided I'm going to try one of my nylon hammers for the first time, instead of the brass one I made years ago. And you know what? I should have used this hammer a long time ago. This is actually better than the brass hammer, in my opinion. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but if you've been enjoying this, maybe consider subscribing. Maybe with a hammer? That's all the frets in. Now I just need to look for the uncooperative ones in the bunch. Yep, there's always a stinker. You can't really see it on camera, but there's enough of a gap I can fit my fingernail under there. Actually, hold on. Yeah, you can see the scalpel blade catches underneath there. That shouldn't be happening. But the fix is simple. Yep, more pounding. I'd like to add a moment of experience here. Just get the proper flush cutters. I've used old diagonals in the past, and unfortunately they leave so much material that it's basically like having the side of the board be a cheese grater. Doesn't sound like a problem till you slip off and slide your hand along it while trying to file off the ends. Take it from me, the flush cutters were worth the purchase price. They also make cutting the frets a lot easier, actually. Now that I've got the bevels flush filed in and sanded, it's time to touch up them fret ends. I'm gonna reduce the cheese grater feeling even more. Now it looks like a triangle file. It's not. It has ground edges so that it doesn't scratch the fretboard. Again, this is gonna take a while.
This is one of those places where you just have to take the time. There's no great way to shortchange this, and if you do, well, you'll feel it later. But with the frets installed, it's finally time to glue the neck in. I'd say that's a pretty nice fit. I think this sanding block is trying to earn frequent flyer miles. But before I go and glue this in, I need to check one last time. Once I glue this in, there's no going back. Everything looks good though. Running the ruler across the top of the frets, I have some room above the top of my bridge, and it means I have room to adjust the bridge upward. In fact, I might have a little too much room, but I'd rather that than not enough. One, you just raise the bridge. The other one, well, there's no fixing without massive surgery. That really is a tight-fitting neck joint. Perhaps a little too tight? I mean, here, have a listen. Probably shouldn't be getting the creaky crackies trying to clamp this in. But hey, there's no going back now. It's in. Now come on down for a second. Let's have a look. Up close and personal. Whoa, little bit of a roller coaster ride there.
So, while that dries for the next business day, we can turn our attention to control cavity. Or more accurately, the control cavity cover. And we can do that without needing this at all. Just need to make some more templates from this. And some layered pieces to make the templates out of.
But you know what? That really should be a video unto itself. So I'm just going to say thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.